Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fic and Fiction, a magical bookish podcast for chaotic story goblins like us. This week, we're talking monster romance, from vampires to aliens to things you might not even really know exist, at least fictionally exist. What is monster romance? What is not monster romance? And what do we recommend? As always, we're your hosts, Crimson,
Molly,
and Emmy.
I almost said Molly. I don't know why I did.
There has to be a monster romance somewhere involving body switching. So
Yes.
Freaky Friday with wings. Or
Amazing.
tails, in Crimson's opinion.
So before we get to tails and tentacles, how are we doing? How is everybody? Emmy, let's start with you.
I'm doing okay. I had like the worst stomach bug from hell in the last week, but we're doing better. And I have been reading a lot. Like, I think I'm further through my TBR. I'm actually on track to read like 10 books this month.
Slay.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
Molly's like, I can do that in a week.
Girl, no.
But yeah, life is okay. My mum was here, and then we went to see Disney on Ice, and that was really fun.
Nice.
And then she left, and I went back to work.
Ugh.
Gross.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
That's it. There's not much happening. I'll be entirely honest.
Amazing.
I'm going to see the ice hockey tonight.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
What about you guys?
My laptop broke.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like stranded and a fucking emotional mess. But yeah, it got wet. So I needed to get it fixed, and 220 quid later, it is fixed. And he cleaned my screen for me, so now it's very shiny.
What a nice guy.
He's such a nice guy.
That's a nice guy.
It was done within a day as well. So
nice.
Yeah, pretty happy about that. 40 books so far this year.
Molly.
Such a speed queen. Such a speed queen.
Anyway,
so
yeah.
I'm like 3. Yeah, for me, it's actually been a pretty good week. I didn't get a lot of reading done. However, I did get a promotion at work officially. I'll sign the contract next week, so that's really exciting stuff.
Look at our boss lady.
I know. Look at her go.
So, yeah, they still don't know that I do this on the side. I don't know. Maybe they'll find the Monster Smut issue and be like, maybe we made a mistake, but we'll see.
Or they'll give you a better, like a bigger promotion. Be like, yes, this is who we need in our company.
Yeah, probably. Makes total sense in my Lululand. Yeah, so that's work. Work has been good. The F1 season is starting again this week, so I'm very excited about that. I'm an F1 girly. The race has already happened. I'll be watching this evening. I already know like kind of how it ended up, though. It sounds like it was total chaos. And other than that, I have been watching a lot of like culty crime documentaries.
It's a bit random.
Not for me. I go through these phases where
we did as well this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot about troubled teen groups, and I also watched a couple murder ones, and yeah, I don't know. I'm on this like kick.
So. Yeah. We watched that one about the 8 passengers, the YouTube family, and the mom that tortured her kids. And then we watched the Gabby Pietro one.
Yeah, I watched that one. Yep.
And then we rewatched for like the 4th time Don't Fuck with Cats, because it quite possibly is the best documentary.
I think so. It's like
it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So good. The storytelling in it is phenomenal, but also just like the way that group of people came together to find that guy was like so crazy and so cool.
It was so cool.
I watched the one about what is her name? I watched so many this week, I'm like getting them all mixed up, but there's one about a woman who gave her kid up for adoption and then later found out her kid went missing, and because they contacted her for DNA. And so she like made it her life's mission to find out what happened. And then it turned out her adopted dad was this like horrible person who murdered her. But it was really interesting. And then I also watched the Gabby Pietro one. So sad. And I also watched the one about I think it's called Ivy Academy. It's one of the troubled teen schools. I also watched Hell Camp, which is about one of the wilderness ones. And I also watched, what is the one that I can't pull out of my mind right now? Oh, I watched the one about the actually I think I watched this 2 weeks ago. The one about the YouTube family where they adopted the kid and they like gave him to a different family.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. You need to send me that
Oh.
one and the one that the first one you mentioned about the adopted kid, because that sounds interesting.
I'll look at my watch history and I'll send it to you. Yeah, they were really interesting. Yeah, I can't remember her name, the YouTuber, but they were like they were like one of the first hugely successful like family life YouTube channels, and they made this whole thing around adopting a kid from I think China, and he had some behavioral problems because adoption trauma is a real thing. And then they made their whole channel about adopting this kid, and then like he just disappeared and the internet like freaked out because he just disappeared from their channel, and it turned out that they had decided to give him to a different family. It's like crazy stuff.
That is insane.
Yeah. And it brought up like all these questions about like, like the choice of like basically making your kids work and be part of this, especially when you're adopting a child and they already have trauma that you're trying to work through and like all this stuff. So it was really, really interesting.
On that note, it's completely unrelated to what we're talking about. Have you seen that family on TikTok? They have like 7 kids and they live in a 1-bed apartment.
Yes.
And they're moving to Nashville so they don't have to pay their kids.
And like they do things like buy really nice things for themselves, but then like the kids like are almost starving and are like sleeping on the floor.
The kids didn't have beds until subscribers were buying them beds.
Yeah, it's like everything that they have is because people buy it for them. Yeah, it's crazy.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's like social media family vlogging is so bizarre to me.
Yeah. Especially that particular niche of like there's a whole niche now because they're not the only ones that are like this, where like people make their whole YouTube or their whole TikTok about how they're poor and how they like can't provide for the kids or whatever, but then there's always so many weird holes. And like I'm not a person who's like against people talking about their situation on the internet and taking help when it's offered. Like I don't think that's like a horrible thing or anything, but it's like there are some accounts where it's like so obviously exploitative, and it's like when you see how many views they're getting and you see like they must be making money, and so it's like really kind of awkward. Like ugh.
It's just bizarre. But I feel like it's a good segue. So like the kind of like I wouldn't say evil, not necessarily a monster, but like the monstrous edge to society. Whereas the things that we read where they're actually monsters may be better. Should we say?
Yeah. I think I'd prefer us to have a Sasquatch around,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, confirmed. What are your thoughts?
Emi has so many thoughts and feelings.
Almost like too many thoughts to the point where there's no thoughts.
Oh, by the way, one last thing about my week before anybody asks. No, I did not finish Iron Blade.
See, I was
like,
gonna
are we
ask,
allowed
but
to
I was
ask?
just
Yeah.
like, did we at least take it on a little walk? Did it get to see some sights?
No, because when I went to a medieval fair yesterday, like the first time I really went out for a big thing, I took my Kindle instead because I'm reading Stalked by the Kraken right now. So no,
Girl.
I just went out for a walk instead.
They didn't need help.
No, they did not. They knew exactly what they were doing. So, yeah.
Come back next week to see if Crimson has any more fire.
Yeah, let me just give the update on exactly what chapter we're on. We are on, it's like literally right next to me. I keep it around, like we're on chapter 49 still. So no progress, zero progress.
Try again next week.
Yeah.
You
I
know
can't
that
believe you haven't finished
TikTok
it. I can't
trend.
believe how long this has been happening and you haven't finished the goddamn book.
I know, and I'm actually like at this point I'm so close it's embarrassing. It's like if you look at it, if you look at where my tabs stop, like I only have like maybe like 15% of the book left.
You know that TikTok trend? Like you listen and we don't judge.
You're
I'm
listening
judging.
and judging. I
Yeah,
know.
like Emmy could never.
By the way, I
judging
can never.
so
I don't
hard.
think I've ever seen one of those where I'm not judging at least
I'm
one of
always
them.
judging.
I'm judging a
100%.
lot. Yeah, it's always something like, "You have a shirt that I hate, so I burned it," and I'm like, "Excuse me, what's wrong with you?"
What the fuck?
Yeah. Although I will say, one time, my husband, when we were dating, I was having like a vintage sale, like out of my house, and my husband had this old punk band T-shirt that I was like, I hate this shirt. It's really ugly. It's bright yellow. It also has holes in it. Like, I really think you should get rid of this. And he was like, okay, I'll get rid of it. Like, he was totally chill. And I was like, kind of surprised because he wore it a lot. And I put it in the thing. Someone bought it, so it was gone. And then I shit you not, he was wearing the same shirt like a week later. And I was like,
Did he just buy the shirt back?
no, he had two of them and he never told me. So that shirt still haunted me for years.
What a king.
Yeah, like that's why he was
love
chill,
him.
because he was like, oh yeah, that one is getting worn out. I'll just wear the
Yeah.
other one.
I have my backup one. It's fine.
Backup emotional support t-shirt.
Yeah, but it was also the kind of thing I would have done. So I was like, yeah, okay, I respect it. Okay, monster smut.
Right. I have queries.
Okay. So, I think Molly is our resident explainer of many things. So maybe Molly, could you explain for readers who aren't quite sure, what exactly is a monster romance?
It's a monster who gets romantic. Yeah.
Slay, solid definition. No one knows.
Yeah.
The sky is blue and the grass is green.
Exactly.
Monsters who like to use all their parts.
They bang. So it's really difficult because there are so many niche areas of monster romance. You can have, things that are very ingrained within paranormal romance that may seem a bit more mainstream, such as vampires and werewolves and shapeshifters. But then you could also have monsters, as in gargoyles, krakens, orcs, a whole plethora.
Mothman,
A whole plethora of, monster icons that, end up in relationships with predominantly human women. Let's face it, it always tends to be a human woman. But you could also have monster crossovers. And it is very much so like a regular paranormal romance, just with a little something extra. Like tentacles and tails.
Yeah.
and wings and
So
scales.
So one of the book clubs that I'm in, several of us enjoy Monster Smut, and we have a sticker that I think perfectly sums it up, which is "I'm ready for some weird dick," and I
Yep.
think that's truly like the essence of a true monster romance. Is like, and to me, it's the difference between paranormal romance and monster romance. Is like, if something weird isn't happening for me, that's just a paranormal romance.
That's just paranormal. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if something is a little weird, like if you got to think about something that's like probably A, not possible in the real world, but B is like, I think that not everybody's going to like this, then like, yeah, you're reading some monster.
Exactly. Like vampires and even werewolves, they can have, run of the mill, sexual encounters. But
when the biting
monster
gets involved,
romance, exactly. That is when
yeah,
it just adds a little bit of something extra.
I would say so.
It adds something.
All right, so I think that is a great segue into another question about is monster smut for everybody? And so I think to answer that question, Emmy, how do you feel about the monster romances that you've read?
So I haven't read a lot, I'll be honest. Like, you guys know me. I am a romantasy girly through and through, right? I am a fae men vibe.
Yeah.
And so I haven't read a lot. I read that really weird one that we read at Christmas.
It's like so tame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I just don't know if I can get behind it. Like, I totally understand why people like it,
Right.
but I feel like it's not for me. But I mean, for example, like Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldrige can be classed as a monster romance. There's no smut in it. It's like the most vanilla. If you take vanilla out of the vanilla ice cream, like that's what that is. It is the most
milk.
It's milk, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like not even flavored milk, plain milk, straight from the cow.
See, that's feeling a bit monster romance to me, but go on.
See, right. Stop.
We've been trying to get her to read Minotaur books. It's not going well.
It's not working.
It's not happening. But see, when I read like Legends and Lattes, I couldn't picture it. Like I couldn't. Like I love that book, but in my brain they were human.
See, that's really interesting because I think that book does firmly count as monster romance, even though it's not smutty.
Do you know who I pictured? So one of the main characters, right? She is, I think she's like maybe an orc or something.
Orc,
I can't remember. And her whole deal is like she used to be like this like warrior gal and used to like fight battles and that sort of thing. And she's like this like big like cool muscly like strong individual. And all I could picture was like the older sister from Encanto who has like the heavy lifting powers from Disney.
It's actually funny you say that because I haven't even read it, but I've obviously seen the cover. Gorgeous cover, and she looks like that too. Like it's what it makes me think
She's
of.
hot as fuck.
Yeah.
But my brain is
you're into
like
that.
my brain is like,
oh god,
you're not green.
That's
just completely ignore all of the other characteristics of orcs. She's just not green.
Hot lip.
It's a bit like when people read a book about like a Draco kind of character, like a platinum blonde man, but they don't like blonde men, so they just decide he has dark hair. Like that's what it feels like.
100%.
Like it's really funny because I think Legends and Lattes is really interesting to bring up because I think that the way we defined it, where it's like, okay, but like the smut has to be weird, like I think that's a pretty standard idea for people who read a lot of like monster smut or monster fuckery or like more generally monster romance. But I think that what's interesting about books like Legends and Lattes, which is kind of a newer thing, is the cozification of monster romance and allowing it to be a little different. Because I don't think that existed just a few years ago, really.
Well, in the interest of, talking about where Legends and Lattes originates, it's very Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah,
inspired.
totally.
So
Mm-hmm,
the universe and like I'm talking like traditional Dungeons and Dragons, because obviously there's lots of different
Yeah,
sectors, like different universes that you can play Dungeons and Dragons in, but the traditional Dungeons and Dragons is where really Legends and Lattes gets its inspiration. So the creatures, the races from Dungeons and Dragons have been adopted into like cozy fantasy, and it's becoming more mainstream, should we
yeah,
say.
mm-hmm.
So it's like the first foray into this type of world that's
yeah,
been adopted for readers, should we say? Something that's
yeah,
more approachable to to the reading kind of sector of nerds rather than the hardcore like Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, my husband type of nerd. Yeah.
yeah. The people who are really into
Mm-hmm.
the story of it all, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I also think the other thing that's interesting to note is I believe, if I remember right, in Legends and Lattes, they're both like non-human, right? And I think
Mm-hmm.
like that's just a romance. I mean, like I still think some people would classify it as monster romance, but I think like what we are specifically aiming to talk about more is well, or maybe like what we both think of as monster smut is like when there's a human or a human like person at the center of it, it becomes this playground for like exploring fantasies and exploring um even like even outside of the smut part, like exploring like being okay with the things that society doesn't accept.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge theme in monster smut that is pretty common throughout most of the books. um and so I think that's something that's maybe missing when you make both of the characters monsters, but it can kind of depend, I think, because some monsters are often more accepted than others in these worlds and stuff, but
Yeah,
yeah,
like more often than not, when you have this type of like world and universe, there tends to be some sort of controversy or, you know, issues
Mm-hmm.
with acceptance around certain races. So like
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
half orcs.
yeah.
Yeah.
And even in the worlds where like everybody accepts that there's monsters, it's not a big deal for you to be a monster, like those worlds still, it's usually like the main character like has never been with one before, or like doesn't know how it would work to have a future with someone like that, and so they're still like kind of exploring like how much am I willing to push myself. So like
Mm.
yeah, there's always like a sense of exploration, I think.
There's always some sort of like element of being naive
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
where the main character is concerned.
yeah, or even yeah, either naive or like uh needing like it's often a tool for breaking out of some kind of psychological box.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the one I'm reading right now, she went through like a really bad rejection that's making her like really fucking with her confidence both professionally and like in her personal life, and so like the tentacles are helping her break out of that box.
It makes sense
Yeah.
because the tentacles are breaking into her box.
Mm. Let me tell you.
Let me space.
The tentacles are giving me anxiety. That's like one thing I could not do. Like I couldn't do the tentacle thing, guys.
See, I'm watching Pirates of the Caribbean at the moment.
Dude, that's all I'm thinking about the whole time, especially because she specifically asked him, like, so you're not like shipwrecking size when you shift, are you? And he was like, oh, no, I am, but I'm mostly magic, so I can be whatever size I want to be.
Oh, what a
And I'm
man.
like, slay. I love this man.
What a
Yes.
man.
Yeah.
I love it.
He radiates pure power. It's like great. I love it.
What is it about? Because like I understand, right? So I totally understand it from like a romantic girly perspective and the whole Fae thing. Like especially when they have wings. Like I get that.
Mm.
Like, and I like when the shadow daddies use their shadows to do like shadow daddy things. Oh my god! Speaking of, I just finished Heavenly Bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And the male main character uses his fire to do the sex. It's great.
Oh,
That's
actually,
very Court of the Vampire Queen.
It's so good. But what is it about monster romance and that sort of thing that like
well,
really
wait,
like tickles your peach?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is a spoiler for the Throne of Glass series. I think a spoiler starting from Queen of Shadows. But just real quick, like, do you like the spicy scenes with Dorian? With his invisible hands?
In the ship?
Yeah, I guess.
Because that's very much kind of
Mm-hmm.
tentacles. Is
Mm-hmm.
like Shadow Daddy, invisible hands
I don't
vibe.
think I like the suckers, guys.
Oh, I'm talking about that part. I'm talking about like, I mean, it depends on how the suckers are described, but like a big part of it is like there's so like that there's more limbs to restrain you a bit also, or to wrap around your neck, or like whatever. Like it's that stuff. It's kind of like the concept of like why people would be into like a threesome or like a multi-partner thing, but like
Mm-hmm.
with only one partner and giving them the ability to do all these different things.
I mean, I get it,
Yeah.
but I don't. Not for me.
But I think to answer your more broad question of like what is it about them in general,
Yeah.
I think it's just fun to explore weird concepts. Like I think it's just fun. So the first thing is that I think in a similar way to like there's been a lot of discussion since Nosferatu came out about like
Mm-hmm.
the way vampires are often tied to feminine sexuality and allowing oneself to be a sexual being, because in the the lore is always that they're like, you know, kidnapping women or whatever, and then the way that's shifted throughout time in the storytelling is that like, oh well, the women like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's that element of it, of like it's a lot of monster romance is rooted in the idea of like allowing oneself to be sexually free in a way that society doesn't allow
Mm-hmm.
you to be.
And it's funny because things like Nosferatu and Dracula were used to try and, stifle female sexuality. And
They did the
the
opposite.
it did the opposite. The original
Yeah.
like vampire novel is obviously Carmilla, and it's a sapphic vampire romance, but it was supposed to be a narrative to prevent women from embracing their sexuality, and obviously, criticizing same-sex relationships and all that. And
I
if
don't
anything,
think it worked the
it
way
didn't
that.
work. It just
Yeah.
made it more
No.
exciting. Like, if anything, it's
No.
like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
The vampire mommy, no.
Yeah, I want vampire mommy. Like,
Yeah, and I think the thing is like if what you want to tell is a story about somebody like breaking outside of the holds of what society has planned for them and just embracing who they are and what they want, both sexually and outside of that, then um monsters are a really easy fun framework to do that without having this like really intense like dramatic story, because it can just literally be, oh, I met Mothman and I have to decide if I'm cool with that or not.
Mhm. And a lot
Yeah.
of the time, the monster romance and the monsters within these romances are like the simpiest, like most obsessed men and
Right.
like beings you'll ever meet. They quite literally do anything for the female main character.
The guy that I'm reading, the Kraken I'm reading right now, like he's he's so powerful. Like she's a person, she's a witch, and like she can see like auras, and like she calls them like soul threads. She can't see his, and I think it's gonna be revealed later, but I'm pretty sure it's just because he's like so fucking ancient and powerful that like she can't see it, because he naturally like hides. He has the cephalopod thing of like he can camo kind of. So like he can go into like a coffee shop, and even in his human form, like he'll order something, and then the barista, as soon as they make the drink, they immediately forget that he exists. Like they just, it's just a natural thing. But it's just this concept of like he's simpy, but only for you.
Hmm.
Like, and he's simpy like
He worships her. He doesn't.
yeah.
It's not like she is the dom, shall we say?
Yeah, he's still usually very dommy. Like especially in the bedroom, but definitely like in life it's like I will do anything for you except for let you do things that are like actually not in
Stupid.
your best interest or
Yeah.
stupid. And so like often they're actually kind of bossy. Like they're a little like if you say something mean about yourself, they're like fuck off, like, and they get super mad.
That's enough of fucking that right there.
Yeah.
No.
They definitely like put their foot down. Like it's a nice aspect.
Or
Maybe I'd be okay
tentacles.
then.
Yeah. I don't
Not
think
for
that
that part.
I honestly don't think that the vibes are what would keep you from the things that we really like reading. I think it's
Smart.
the details. Yeah.
I think it's the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you're not like the thing I read, the smut I read today, I don't think that you would be into. But
Yeah, me neither.
I'm not a smutty gal. Maybe like that's why. I mean, I give Legends and Lattes and Bookshelves and Moon Dust 5 stars. So maybe that's the vibe I need to stay with. I love a cozy,
yeah.
little cutesy romance. Keep your tentacles out of my holes.
It's okay. We've got plenty of holes over here. So
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
What are the different types of monster romance? Obviously, Emmy has spoken about, the cozy, safe for work variety.
yeah.
But there are
Yeah,
obviously different
smut-free milk
genres.
variety. Yeah.
The milk variety. Sorry. So
I mean, like
That's
I would take
different.
Legends and Lattes to work and read it on my breaks.
Yeah.
That would, yeah, that's fine.
Exactly. But there are obviously different sections within monster romance. So I think it would be a good idea to talk about some of those.
Yeah. I do have a question, which is, do we have favorite monsters?
Mm. Huh. Mm. I'm an equal opportunist.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't think there's been like a monster romance that I've been like, no, it's not really my cup of tea. Like everything I've like read, I've enjoyed in some variety. So I'm not picky about, the weird. So
Yeah.
but I know you do. Like you've got a favorite.
I have some favorites. Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge sucker for a vampire of any variety, whether it's paranormal or true monster smut. I just really love Mothman. I don't know why.
You love Mothman.
I love him.
You're a Mothman girly.
Yeah.
She is a Mothman girly.
He's just so fun. Like it's just I think it's such a fun concept that he just, especially because it's so like hick American too. Like it's just I don't know. But he's not like ever in the books that I read, but like just the idea that this little cryptid from this little region of the United States has made such a big splash on the world just delights me. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I like Mothman, I think, because I really like the monsters that are supposed to be rare or that like you don't have like all about, like when it's like a Sasquatch or like I mean even technically vampire falls under this category, but I like it for other reasons. Or like werewolves or different things like that. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, like we've seen that. I know what that is. I like when it's like new things to explore.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I do like tentacles. I do like, I mean, I'm pretty equal. I think the only thing I've seen that has made me like be like, I don't know about that is like there's spider ones where like, he's a giant spider and I don't
I'm
think
good.
I can do that.
Yeah, I think you've just found the one that will never.
Yeah, and he's not a shifter, I don't think. I think he just is like that. Like I've seen the covers and some of the fan art and he just looks like a big ass spider with a man torso. Like it's real crazy. And there's a web situation where he ties her up and that's kind of interesting, but the rest of it I'm like, no thanks. But But that's the only one. I do get kind of, I don't love the ones that are mostly just people most of the time, with the exception again of vampires. Like I don't love when it's like Invisible Man. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Like whatever.
We
I
want
feel
the
like I
weird.
could get behind that.
Sorry?
I feel like that would be for me.
Oh,
Invisible
maybe.
Man.
Yeah,
That's
anything that's like actually human. Maybe they could have
What about
horse or like
ghosts?
wings.
yeah, would you be into
Ghosts.
ghosts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Slay. Okay.
Yeah, I could get behind that. Yeah.
Or what about golems? Because golems are
Mm.
pretty much just people made out of different materials. Like they don't have like a lot weird about them. They just are like
Oh, what?
stone or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're humanoid.
Yeah. They're pretty like the one that I read is like he's a human. He's kind of a little dumb, but he's a human and he all the parts are normal except he's made of stone. And the stone can like move kind of, but like he's hard in multiple ways.
Yeah, he is.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. I love how we're just like, these are some different monster romances. Let's see if we can find some that will get Emmy.
We're
On board.
constantly trying to corrupt her. It's
We
like
are.
all we're trying to do in our life.
So I think another big section is obviously alien monster romances.
I think
Mhm.
I'm out.
But yeah.
Okay. I gotta know why. Because the aliens are pretty humanoid.
They are.
I don't know. I don't like it.
She doesn't like the weird.
I don't like the weird. Yeah.
To be fair, it is often a bunch of breeding kink, so I guess I get it.
Well, I
Slay.
mean, take it from this, right? So whenever we were talking about Twilight
Mm-hmm.
before, I like the idea, like I could get behind Edward in the bedroom, but as soon as you're like, his skin's like ceramic, I'm out.
Huh.
Huh. Okay.
All right.
Maybe I just
But
like human people, guys.
But there are
Okay,
vampires that aren't ceramic, so there could
Yeah,
be
and
wiggle
I
room
could
there.
probably get behind that, and I'd let them bite me.
yeah.
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 Cool.
Okay. So the biting's okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
We've got work to do. This is what I'm saying.
I feel like figuring out what Emmy would or wouldn't be into is like a maze. It's like a
It really
labyrinth of
is.
like, because
But then
it's like
also like
you think you've got it, you turn right, and then it's like dead end. Never mind.
Exactly.
like a man with wings, I could get behind. I could also probably get behind someone with horns and like a tail, but it has to be a specific type of tail.
Okay.
Like cartoon devil vibes, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Can he do anything with the tail?
Or is it just there for aesthetic purposes?
Yeah.
He could tie me up with it. Maybe.
Okay.
Eh,
All right.
okay.
Yeah, maybe.
I had
It
other
can't go
thoughts
in
for the
me.
tail, but okay.
Yeah.
Not a chance. Not going anywhere near me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Mm.
So yeah, we've got alien romance. We've got Kraken
Yeah.
romance. We have what else? I've read Gargoyles.
What?
Yeah.
Why is gargoyles shocking at this point? We talked about
I
spiders.
don't know. I imagine them as like as little like small gremlin-y things.
No.
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 We've upgraded since the
Yeah.
Gargoyles TV show of the 90s.
Mhm.
Right.
Succubuses,
Yeah.
demons,
Sirens.
sirens,
Uh,
shapeshifters in many forms.
Yeah. Sea monsters of varying types, not just
Yeah.
Kraken. Loch Ness Monster is a thing.
What?
Werewolves.
Werewolves? Sphinxes. Can be a
Yeah.
thing.
I've seen those.
Yeah. We mentioned golems.
Uh-huh.
The same one I read with the Sphinx in it also had a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde guy going on. I don't remember if they named him, if they made a name for that, but yeah. I think I've seen that there are Frankenstein ones, but I haven't seen that many.
No.
I think that one's a bit awkward. You have to do that right, or it's going to be bad.
Yeah. Obviously, we've got orcs.
I could get behind the shadow vibes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like anything shadowy I could do. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's interesting.
We definitely missed the Minotaurs, and the Minotaurs are very important to mention.
Yeah. They kind of
Yeah.
took the world by storm a couple years
They
ago.
really did.
Yeah.
I feel like I could read that. Like the milking farm one.
Oh.
Okay.
We've made progress on the
She's
milking
come
farm.
around.
I haven't actually read that one yet, so if you wanted to buddy read it, we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
That
It's
one
part of the whole series as well.
I could maybe get behind that. Maybe.
And the world is so cute. Like, it's got the cozy fantasy vibes. It's
yeah,
a
I have a
world
feeling we
where obviously there are humans, but now different races are out and about, and they're like, they've got jobs and
might...
Where does the milking part come in?
That's her job.
it's her
So
job.
like the whole premise is that I think they use it for like, medical
Human.
stuff. Yeah.
It's for human Viagra.
Yeah, okay. So
What?
okay. Just the whole thing is that minotaurs willingly donate their sperm to be used for human Viagra, whatever it is. And her whole thing is that she gets a job at the milking farm where they milk this. That's why it's called that.
How do they milk this?
Well,
How do you think?
Yeah, but is it like what's the vibe? Like is it like cows
Clinical.
in the house or is it like is
So
it clinical?
It's clinical, but okay, so everyone that goes there, not everyone is there to be creepy. Obviously, there is like a sector of like minotaurs that are there, and it is kind of a kink for them. But there are others there that are like just needing money, or are just there to because it's part of their culture. Like as soon as you become a man, they went to do this. But some are married and they have kids and they're like trying to send their kids to college, and this is how they're funding it.
I mean, that's so sweet. I feel like I should
Yeah.
get behind this.
Yeah. So they have it's like a clinic effectively, and it's imagine like a room, and then there's stairs that go down, maybe like 4 or 5 stairs, and there's like the collection area, and they're basically in stirrups. They don't see the person that's collecting the sample. There's like a hole in like the medical bed. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, think of it as like, you fall in love with a doctor
Patient.
taking your
Yeah.
blood. Like it's that idea. But then yeah. Anyway,
It's so cute.
it's supposed to be
I feel like this out of all of them, I feel like this one could be the one that I actually do like.
yeah, it was to be
Excellent.
honest, when it came out a few years ago, it like introduced a whole bunch of book talk that had never read anything monstery at all. Like weren't even Twilight girlies because they had just gotten into reading into monster romance. So like I think it's universally considered a really good entry level one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good time to maybe start talking about some of the books that we recommend that we have read.
Yeah. Tell me as well if you guys think I'll actually like them or not, because I will add them to the list.
Amazing. Maybe for our listeners that either aren't familiar with monster romance or haven't, navigated the world that is monster romance, maybe Emi's recommendations would be the best place to start.
I suppose. Yeah. I mean, we've obviously got I'm super cozy. I'm not a smut girly, so Legends and Lattes, Bookshops and Boondast, perfect place to start. I ate those up, and there's a third one coming out soon. Travis Baldry is great in a way that, like, yes, it's like orc romance, but like none of it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, these very easily could be like human beings. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's not like anything like distinct other than the fact that she's green. Like, that's, and she like can lift things, and she's a warrior and whatever. And I love a strong woman, so I'm into
So
that. And if
it's a
there had been smut,
cozy
I'd probably be into
fantasy.
that. Yeah. Toying like the very thin line, because I was obviously asking you guys this before we started, toying that the very thin line between paranormal and monster romance, we've got Bride by Ali Hazelwood, because that kind of counts, right?
Yeah.
I think so. I think because it flirts with, like, I don't think it's true Omegaverse, but it flirts with the concept, with the nodding, but also with the scenting and the marking. I think that's flirting with monster romance for sure.
And it
Everyone
also
as a Vampire
has,
is another one.
yeah.
That counts as well, right?
I think it's a good introduction to it. Definitely. Like it's I'd say that it's more grounded in paranormal romance just because it's not like there's a lot of categorical monster romance features and tropes.
Yeah.
So like you said with Legends and Lattes, it could be anyone. It wouldn't have to be a monster. So similarly with here, with My Roommate the Vampire and her subsequent books, they are very much so books that could just be about two regular people, but one of the characters just so happens to be a vampire.
Yeah. What I think kind of makes it flirt with it a tiny bit more, because vampires are a super gray area, I think, but I think it kind of counts in the sense of there's clearly a long-standing lore about vampires that's like really sort of central to who he is. Versus like in Twilight, like, yeah, the Volturi have been around forever, but like we really don't deal with them, and Edward is kind of rooted in the century and is very modern. So it's just very like, it's like Twilight's weird because they couldn't be anybody. He has to be a vampire, but it feels more in the vibe of paranormal than it does monster.
That was like one of my questions for you guys, and I know that Molly, you have thoughts on this. Is like, how far can we argue that Twilight is a monster romance?
I mean, some people would say it is. I don't think of it that way. I think of it as
no. I mean, Twilight is obviously centered around vampires, but we've got to remember that it's a YA and that it's they are very true to human culture.
Yeah.
So
it's not like their entire being is around like vampire lore, like Crimson said.
But a lot of it is like, it'd be slightly bit different than like, you know, Dracula.
They spend the majority of their time pretending to be human.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I like it.
And I think a huge part of why I think of it as paranormal versus romance is versus monster romance is in most monster romance, you're kind of like embracing the weird, whether that be through the smut or through the other aspects of their personality. But with Twilight, the weird is mostly demonized. Like the vampires who are living true to their vampire culture are the bad ones. And then the Cullens and others like them are considered like quote unquote good vampires because they are morally choosing not to eat people or whatever. Versus there are a lot of other ways to do it. Like for instance, I would say even though they firmly fit into paranormal, you'd have a better argument for the Sookie Stackhouse novellas because they have a world where like vampires are integrated into society and can and have ethical options for getting.
Right, yeah.
Like in society, they don't do it, but they have it. So
But you'll notice within Twilight, obviously we said that the traditional route is demonized and seen as wrong, but even the Alaskan coven, obviously they are vegetarian, but Irina, Kate, and Tanya are the vampires that are the origin of the succubus and incubus myth.
yeah.
They are the reason that exists, and that is very heavily, I wouldn't say it's not openly criticized, but it is brought up in a way that has some sort of negative connotation. But obviously within monster romance, things like that are embraced, in that sexuality and things like breeding kinks and fated mates, things like tropes like that are embraced and encouraged, and it's not viewed as wrong.
Yeah.
What's a succubus?
Crimson?
I was waiting for you to explain it. Hang on. I'm gonna pull up an actual definition just to make sure I give it a succubus in lore, in culture, because there are many different versions in monster romance. A succubus traditionally is a female demon believed to have sexual intercourse with men who are asleep.
Right.
It's navigating like dreams and things like that.
Yeah. And often when they're included in book, I don't think I've actually read a succubus romance, but when they're included in books where they're like side characters, it's often like they're always super overtly sexual, and some people are like super into it, but it's kind of often exploring this idea that like somnophilia can be okay if you consent, and like all of these different
Katie Roberts, one of her monster romances is a succubus.
Yes. It's on my list. I want to read it.
I don't know if I'd get behind that.
Yeah, that's fair. I think those ones are definitely not for everybody, because some people have a lot of fear around that. So
that, and I think it kind of treads the line of dark romance.
Yes.
Obviously, monster romance and dark romance aren't synonymous. Yes, there are some dark romance tropes within monster romance, but succubi and incubi definitely kind of like tread that line of like non-con.
I was about to ask that. It seems very non-con vibes.
Yeah, and that's actually something I think is really important to point out about monster romance in general. Unless it has a warning in the beginning, usually monster romance is very rooted in informed and enthusiastic consent.
Yeah.
Like even, like I'm reading a tentacle thing right now, but he is very like, I need you to understand that I have tentacles and tell me if that's okay. Like like it's very because the point of monster romance, unless it's the kink that they're exploring, is that like you're actively choosing these weird things.
Yeah. I just don't think I'd actively choose that.
That's valid. That is fine.
Yeah.
I barely choose normal sex as it is, guys.
Slay.
Any other recommendations for us, Emmy? Or if we like tapped out the monster romance?
I think we've tapped out. I think
That's fair.
Valid.
Obviously, you guys are very, very versed in this. I love when we do episodes like this. I love when we do, like when we did the Unhinged Christmas read. I love when we do the Twilight episodes, because you guys are like so into this stuff and I'm not. And even like I'm sure that at some point we'll do a dark romance based episode. And I love these episodes because I get to ask you guys questions, and it's so interesting to learn these type of things, even if I'm not into it. If someone thinks that they could be into monster romance and they don't know where to start, where would you guys say is a good place for that?
I have one for a certain type of girly. It won't be for everybody, but I would say that if you are into why choose or reverse harems, that I have a great one. That's the first one on my list. It's the first monster romance that I read, especially if you've read shifter why choose before, which is often like way more paranormal, and it's like the shifting is totally separate from everything that happens romantically.
Mm-hmm.
The next sort of step of that for me was Lady of Rooksgrave Manor by Catherine Moon. Catherine Moon is a monster romance genius. She's amazing. Everything she writes is phenomenal. But this one in particular is about a young woman who decides to go work in this kind of like Victorian or like Renaissance setting. Like she decides to go work at what is essentially a really exclusive, really high-end pleasure club for monsters of different types. And as the story progresses, she falls for a group of her clients all together, and they're all sort of like super broy. It's actually like really cute. And it's interesting because it explores one, monsters, because she's never encountered monsters before and she decides to do this. And two, it explores like all of those themes we were talking about like being okay with your sexuality, being okay with being that kind of person who would want to do that. But it also just explores like different vibes with each one of the men and different like things that the men are working through and that she's working through. But it has actually, other than the wild smut scenes that are in it, it has like very cozy vibes. Like I don't feel like, I feel like the thing about Why Choose is that they can be very cozy vibes because it's very found family-esque, and it's like that. It's like that cozy version of it. But with a lot of weird smut. So if someone is already into like uh a lot of really intense smut, and Why Choose, and they are looking for a monstery one, I would say go with Lady of Scrape Manor. It won't do you.
Okay, amazing. I think you've mentioned this one before. It's been on my TBR. I definitely gonna have to get to that one sooner rather than later.
It's fun. It's very like which monster is going to be next, because they're all of different types.
Oh,
I love
they're
that.
not like all the same type of monster either. You're just getting a little. This actually could be
No.
a good way to dip your toe in to find out what type of monsters you like, I guess.
Yeah, totally. There's a vampire, there's a sphinx, there's a golem, there's an invisible man, there's this is the one with the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. There's that might be all of her men, but there are other men also, like because this is like a very nice like mansion where like a club where people come, like there's a room where she sees other people doing stuff and you can kind of see like, so it's very interesting. And I think they take her to like a super fancy like kink show. There's like this really cool, yeah, she goes like together with a group of them. It's so cute. Like it's
Monster romance, speed dating vibes.
I love
sort
that.
of, yeah, yeah. And then it's like this whole unique situation because it's supposed to just be casual paid for stuff, but they're all falling in love with her. So and there's a little bit of plot. Like I think someone tries to kidnap her later or something, but like it's very it's not plot heavy. It's way about the romance.
Yeah. Along that line, I don't think it's a secret for anyone that has been listening, but I think a good introduction to something that is more or less just about the romance is going to be Ice Planet Barbarians.
Nice.
So they're such quick reads, and while each book does focus on a couple and it is predominantly smart, there is like an ongoing plot line that is really interesting. So if you've been living under a rock,
Or
a
you're me.
group, or if you're Emmy, a group of human girls are kidnapped from Earth, by a different race of aliens, and they're going to be sold on the alien black market, effectively. And
Okay.
yeah, and it just so happens that the cargo section of their spaceship there's some sort of malfunction, so they have to dump the cargo, i.e. the girls that they've kidnapped, both in pods, so stasis pods, and the extras they decided to take for money, on an ice planet, and they're all left there to potentially be picked up by the aliens again, and they're like, fuck this, I'm not doing this, I'm going to go out onto the planet and see if I can find help. Like, I don't want them to come back because they're doing like horrible things to us and they're going to sell us. And they end up meeting effectively Avatar, like Avatar style
Why do
ice
I feel like
barbarian
I'm
men.
gonna like this?
It's so good. They have horns and tails and they're blue, and they're barbarians. There's no technology, or at least they don't think there's technology.
Do you
And
know?
they have like a parasite that allows them to live on this planet. And they have to get the girls to take them as well. And it's all, you know, insta love, fated mates,
You know,
real cuteness.
what's funny about Ice Planet Barbarians is because of the book clubs I was in at the time and like how over detailed they shared things. The only thing I actually know about these books is what the alien penises look like. I know exactly what they look like because they make them into toys now.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So it's a normal. It's somewhat normal. The only thing that's different is they have something called they have a spur, which is like a protrusion above their penis that we learn in later books is there to as like because it releases pheromones that like mark
That's
the mate.
a bit random, but okay.
It's later on because we learn that the barbarians were stranded themselves on this planet and their race has moved on, but they have just been living on this planet for hundreds of years and haven't really evolved. But their race on a whole has, and they end up meeting with people that from their race that have progressed. And that's what they learn about it. But it's got like they've got like a protrusion above their penis.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole subculture of people who make and purchase toys that are made to look like different monster appendages that are out there, and some of them are based on characters, and there are even like sleeves that men can buy to wear so that they're a little bit more like it's a whole thing.
Slay.
I don't have any of those for the record.
Yeah,
they're out
no,
there.
thank you.
No,
go for it, man. Live your life. Have fun.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
want to do that, you do that. Like, that's what you want, then that's what you want, and go for it.
But yeah,
But
the
no, thank you.
storyline in these books is just great, and you speed through them. There's a stupid number of them. Don't get me wrong, but they're just such fun reads. They're addictive.
Yeah, that actually is a good segue into one of the ones I have on my list to recommend, because it is also aliens. It is not as long of a series. I believe it's 6 books so far. But the first one is called The Monster in My Bed. It's by M.L. Smith. And it is a fun time. It is aliens. It is a slightly different concept. She wakes up, she has been abducted and is on a different planet. And she quickly finds out that she is in almost a Hunger Games situation, but it's not like violent. It's like they all have to run around this planet and find a key, and whoever can find the key gets to go home. And in the meantime, the people who have the keys are these alien men, and also the entire planet has pheromones in the air that make them super aroused, that make the women super aroused all the time. So it's Hunger Games to go home, but you need to seduce aliens into giving you the key. And then
Excellent.
it goes from there. She very quickly stumbles upon the house of a very broody alien. What I think is really fun about that book, at least in the beginning, I can't remember if it changes towards the end or if I'm getting it mixed up with something else, but it really explored the idea of like they can't talk to each other because they don't speak the same language at all. So there's a lot of like grunting and like he's just kind of broody and kind of ugly but also hot, but ugly, but yeah. So it's
I don't know how I feel
interesting.
about that.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say nobody's gonna want to go home. This
Yeah,
is home
like
now.
yeah. Yeah. Why would you leave?
Exactly.
There's a bunch of big colored men with big, like I think they're either blue or green. And they have like very interesting parts. So yeah, I don't know why you'd leave, but
I
I
mean,
know
that
why
makes
I'd leave.
sense. Oh man.
yeah.
On that note of not wanting to leave, Katie Roberts' monster romance series is
Mm.
a unique take on that. So effectively all the women in this series are on a market, on a sale after making a deal with demons.
On sale.
Yes,
Yeah.
so they are led to be bid on by different monster leaders. So we have like a dragon shifter, we have a gargoyle, we have a kraken, we have a succubus, and then the last one is just the main demon. And they all make deals with one of these demons to agree to stay in this world for 10 years in exchange for something that they need in their life. And then they can go home if they want to.
I have a question. Is the
Mhm.
demon the same demon from the Court of the Vampire Queen?
One of them, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So all
Hmm.
all of Katie Roberts' books somehow cross over.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
So the demon from Court of the Vampire Queen is in the books, but he's with somebody else from a novella from the series. And the monster hunter is actually with the
Oh
Kraken
yeah.
in the books.
Ooh,
So yeah.
fun.
Ah.
I
Mhm.
love the demon in Court of the Vampire Queen.
He's a babe and he makes a reappearance. So he's in every single book. And the novella that he's in with his love interest, who's a witch, is just iconic. It's great.
That's great. That's great.
I highly recommend. There's something for everyone there. I mean, there's sapphic romance with the succubus. Obviously we've got lots of different types of monsters. So like with the first book that you recommended, Crimson, there's like lots of different ones that you can test out to see if you're interested.
Love that. I love Katie
Don't know how I
Robert.
feel about that.
One of the things I love about Katie Robert is that she is like the queen of representing different types of couples.
She is an icon.
Yeah.
I love her.
So I'm really interested to read that series by her. I've read some of her other stuff, but I haven't read her monster series. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
On my list, I haven't read it yet, but you're reading, obviously, one of Lillian Lark's books, and she is top of my TBR for monster romance. All of her books
yeah.
look phenomenal.
What does she write about?
What doesn't she
Well,
write about?
yeah, I'm reading Stalked by the Kraken, which is the first in a series, and it is so fun so far. I'm about 50% of the way through the book. I've hit the first smut scene. I just finished that this morning. It's only 250 pages, so I'll honestly probably finish that either tonight or tomorrow. And it's giving me life. It's like so fun. The main character is a witch, but otherwise very human, and has her family for generations has run a bathhouse that has a very interesting business model where what happens is people can choose to have sexual encounters in the bathhouse. It's like a very fun, sexy place. And it's free, and what it's in exchange for is like when you have sex in this universe, it's only for like monsters and powerful entities, and it releases power. And so what they do is they take that power and they can sell it to covens of witches, or other entities in order to do certain magical rituals that they need.
Hmm.
So it's like this business where people get this really cool free service in this really fancy place, but all they have to do is like give up the power that they would already be releasing through these encounters. And our girl is actually also a matchmaker. And what the matchmakers are for is because paranormal people are kind of spread throughout the world, and through tradition and from when they were kind of ostracized, they don't always make their presence known or make it known what they are. She matches people with who should be their mate, and she can, through seeing their like kind of soul threads and all these things, can calculate a percentage of like whether or not you're compatible. And recently she found what she believed was her own 100% match, which is super super rare. Most people are around like 50 to 70%. She found her 100% match, and he rejected her and made her feel like a slut and really dirty. So then enter Gideon, who is a kraken, and he sees her in a coffee shop and is immediately like, that's my mate, I love her. And he's kind of
That's cute.
yeah, and he kind of is stalking her. And in this universe,
Slay.
krakens are obsessed with treasure. They're like a little bit dragony. And so she's like the kind of girly who wears delicate little necklaces and rings and stuff all the time. And he's super into that. And he like constantly is referring to her as like his treasure, like in his head. And like he is so mad that anyone would make her feel bad, but also doesn't want to come on too strong. And so he stalks her for a little while, and then he like shows up and is like, I want to participate in your business, but I only want to do it if I can do it with you. And so she thinks it's a super casual thing.
Nope.
And he's like, girl, I am going to grab you with my tentacles and take you under the sea. Like, not really, but like,
Yes, please.
yeah.
Bye.
So it's really cute. Like, it's really like she's going through something. He's obsessed with her. And
I know what I'm reading next.
yeah, I'm having a good time. It's really good. And he
Yep.
has like a demon friend that I love when there's a demon side character that's just like out of pocket. So he's got one of those. So
I love that. Obviously we've spoken about Morning Glory Milking Farm, so I won't go back onto that, but that is another recommendation. I am reading at the moment a series, and the author's by Cass O'Shire, and I finished the first one yesterday or the day before, and it's called A Polar Expedition and Other Stimulating Research Opportunities, and it's called the Shades of Sanctuary series, and effectively they're written like recounts of the history or relationships with this place called Sanctuary, which was a hidden, well, I say hidden from the humans, that there was more to their world than they initially thought. So obviously there's a magic system, and they're called lunologists, and they consume this algae, which is magic and gives them the ability to do different like things, like biologically, like powers, like minor shifts and being able to walk faster and things like that. And the main character in the first one, Siren, is a researcher, and she wants to know where this source of magic comes from. So she, against the Citadel's judgment, decides to go off and try and find the source, even though her boss told her she wasn't allowed to. And she goes off and she obviously finds what she's looking for. But before that, she finds a very good looking man who turns out to be a polar bear shifter. Yes. And his job is to protect Sanctuary from people like her from finding it, to protect the source of magic. But he's obsessed with her, naturally. Okay. And she ends up living in Sanctuary and, tells the histories and starts writing research articles and journals. So all of the books are told through her with footnotes of her research. So it's really, really cool. So the first one is with her. So she's essentially a witch, but not. And the polar bear shifter. And it's a cozy fantasy series. So there's lots of different races from the different parts of the world that humans don't know about. And the second one that I'm reading is his sister, who is a Arctic hare shifter, and she's a single mum of 2 half orcs, little girls whose dad left when they were before they were born. And they don't really have contact with their dad, but she the love interest is an orc, and she was in love with him as a child, and he
Oh my
had to go
God.
off. Yeah, he had to go off
Mm.
to go reunite with like his race, like the orcs, somewhere else. And he's
Oh
doing
no.
like delegation treaties things, and he's back, and he is obsessed with her, and she's like, I need to protect myself, I can't get into this because I've got kids to think about. And he's already broken my heart because I professed my love to him and he didn't do anything about it,
Hmm.
and he's obsessed with her, and it's like the
That sounds
cutest
pretty
thing
good.
ever. It's so good,
Sounds amazing. Yeah.
so good. And the next one is like a shifter romance between a Selkie and a whale shifter, and I'm just so excited.
A whale shifter. That's fun. Yeah.
That's kind of feral.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little bit.
but he's a ship captain, so it makes sense.
Nice.
I would
Nice.
love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for my last little round, are we ready to talk about our Lord and Savior, the Mothman?
Lay it on me, babe.
Go for it. Because you love him.
I do.
Mothman.
I just think it's such fun lore, and it's so vague. Like it's such new lore, really. It's only I think 100 years old, so it's like there's really not like tons and tons of stories about Mothman. So like it's really a playground where people can do a lot of things. So I have two recommendations. One I actually haven't read, but I feel very confident because it's my girl Catherine Moon. And then the other one is one I've read recently that I just loved. So if you're like bugs sounds weird and gross, I would suggest maybe starting with Catherine Moon's new book, Lessons with the Mothman, because based on the like art I've seen and the details I've seen, he's much more humanoid than a lot of depictions of Mothman. He just looks like a big kind of furry human with wings. And he looks hot. So maybe go with that. This one is like the concept is that he is a consultant for something called the Monstrous Mass Agency, which is and he's very rare, and he's never been in love, and he's never been interested in emotion. But there's this girl whose name happens to be Victoria, which I think would make
Oh,
Oh, you're gonna love that.
and it says that she is trying to study why monster species seem more satisfied than humans. And so she contacts him to try to understand this from a factual perspective. And then he volunteers to help her by stimulating more than just her intelligence, is what the blurb says. So she's not looking for romance. He's not looking for romance. They're supposed to enter into this casual thing, and then things go from there.
casual my ass. Yeah,
Yeah, right. That's gonna be some fated mates
Hmm.
hard.
I've
Uh,
heard this one before.
yeah, so I think it looks really cute. So that's on my list to try. But one that I've read recently that I can highly, highly recommend because it was 5 stars for me is The Mothman Manager by Luna Cantrip. And it is just a fun little concept. Our FMC runs a tech company that focuses on building accessibility tools for different software and things like that. So that's something that I really liked because this is an area that I'm actually really like passionate about my job is accessibility. But also she randomly in a bar happens upon a Mothman who is like a very Mothman. This man has, big red, like bulbous eyes and stuff. Like, very much is Mothman. So if you're going to get into this one, you need to be able to get into the weird. But he is also just like the biggest softy and so sweet and immediately knows that she's his mate, but also is very like, I can't like scare her. That's, common theme. But also goes about everything the wrong way. Like it's very much if the guy from You had actual good intentions and wasn't a serial killer. Um like it's
yep.
very much like if that went the way we wanted it to go in the first couple episodes, like that's the vibe. He is like stalking her, and then he ends up they end up having like a tryst, but she doesn't know that he's also been stalking her, and then
Mm.
she finds out and all hell breaks loose, and it's like this especially when she finds out that the big tech company that is looking to invest in her business is he's one of the founders and owners of it. And she thinks that he's had something to do with this, but he hasn't. It's his friend who's being nosy and meddling and trying to get them together.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like really a fun little thing. And you know, she's the kind of girl who runs around in Converse on Halloween instead of a crazy sexy outfit. And it's
I love that.
Yeah, it's very cute. So highly recommend that one. And I think that's my last one. I kept my list like pretty short for a couple reasons. The first is my brain is just blank today, but the second
Yeah.
is there's such a weird wide range of monster romance, and I think it would be maybe irresponsible to just recommend the crazy
Everything.
which I've dived. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you need to start at a reasonable place and not
Yeah.
yeah. So
If anything, it's better to explore you for yourself and see what you come across.
yeah, and you know, if what you're really into is the smut, I would recommend finding Discord groups or Facebook groups that have a lot of monster fuckery readers in it, because you can
Mhm.
ask them like, so what's the deal with that Mothman or whatever, and we'll tell you. Like we'll tell you all the details about what he is capable of. But it's not going to be like on the front of the book, because, you know,
No.
you got to have a surprise sometimes. So, yeah.
So, Emmy, have we enlightened you to anything that you think you'll want to read?
No.
Fair.
No Ice Planet Barbarians for you, huh?
You know, I feel like I could maybe get behind the Milking Farm one. I kind of want to try the Ice Planet Barbarian thing
Mm-hmm.
because, like, the nodding part of Bride didn't bother me, so the appendage thing won't really bother me.
Yeah, I don't. Well,
And I liked Avatar, so if they're blue, I don't think that bothers me either.
No,
I want
So
someone to do
maybe
a
give it a
true
go, Bab.
Avatar where they got the tail that does the, you know.
It
are they on
doesn't do
Kindle
that,
Unlimited?
Yeah.
but it does do things. They are on Kindle Unlimited.
Okay. I will add one to my April TBR and get
Okay.
back to you.
Just a heads up, the first one's not as good as the like second, third, fourth go on one. So
Okay, so keep going. At least read two.
like,
Yeah.
at least read two and see what you
Okay.
think.
They're also short. They're really short.
They are.
I
They're
was gonna
really
say, how
short.
long are they?
Like 200 pages.
Yeah.
Oh, so I could read like
Like if you
one a
see them in the
day.
bookstore, they're like this. Like they're really
They're tiny.
Yeah.
There's like a fuck ton of them, but they're tiny.
Yeah.
So if I need to increase my TBR, like as in like I need to get my reading stats up, this could be a
The
good way to do it.
first time I read them, I read all of them in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There's like 17 of them.
Also, another thing I would say about the genre in general, obviously every writer is going to be a bit different. Like Catherine Moon is a little bit more flowery than some of the other authors, but like most monster romance writers write in a very like easy to read style.
Yeah.
It's not the way it is in like a fantasy romance where like they're trying to be
They're world building.
yeah, it's not always meant to be poetic. Like a lot of times it's very like straightforward, and it's meant to be fun usually. So it's like
Yeah.
usually easy reads. And there's a lot of novellas too. So if you find a
Mhm.
particular monster or type of thing that you're into, like you can just smash through novella after novella.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
There we are. Any last thoughts before we finish up for the day?
I don't think so. Just enjoy the freaky reads, honestly. Don't let other people like try to convince you into thinking that monster romance is not a legitimate and fun genre, because it is.
I mean the jokes especially so elite.
Yeah.
In
Excellent.
the Kraken one, sometimes the demon calls him calamari. Like it's pretty
Icon.
yeah, it's just like yeah. They're very I feel like it's also a lot of characters who are like willing they're either adorably put off by people making fun of them, or they're like very in on the joke, and like that can be very fun
Mm.
too. So there's a lot of, yeah. I feel like monster romance is emblematic of like the best parts of some of the best people I've ever met. Like, you know what I mean? Like personality traits are like really,
Yeah.
the people who write it write really fun stuff.
Fun.
100%.
Okay. Well, before we finish up, what are you both reading this week? Molly.
I am reading the Casso Shire books. So I'm reading the second one, which I think it's not in front of me, is called On the Care and Keeping of Orcs. I'm also reading Air of Fire as our Throne of Glass readathon. Reread readathon. And I am also listening to A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, and I'm having the best time. It's very cute and paranormal and monstery, actually. So
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a theme.
So the main characters are a witch and a vampire, and there's demons and witches and vampires and all that good stuff.
It's been adapted as well, right? Like it's a show.
It has. It's a TV series.
That's been highly. I have actually my sister-in-law. We watched Pure True Blood together and read the Sookie Stackhouse novels together, and also read the smutty Anne Rice Sleeping Beauty books.
Yep.
And she wrecked me Discovery of Witches as well, and I actually gifted the box set to her, but I've never read it myself, so I need to.
They're very good so far. I'll let you know.
Okay. Cool.
What about you guys? Iron Flame.
So I
like
I
never.
will obviously be taking Iron Flame for his Oh, by the way, did I tell you what happened to my dust jacket? I had to replace my
No.
dust jacket. Which means I
Was
have
it a pie tragedy or?
No, it was fully my fault. Okay. I'm gonna show you something really horrible.
Uh-oh.
It's all
Crimson.
I know, it's the worst, and I'm like, I keep my books like pristine, but
Yeah.
what happened is I took the dust jacket off because I was reading, and I put it on again for one of our episodes where I had it up, and then I took it off again, and I just stuck it like right next to my chair, and I forgot about it. And then when the cleaning lady came, she didn't know, so like this was not her fault, but she like pushed the chair back while she was sweeping and mopping, and it got crushed. And I think I need to go buy another copy so that I can, and then I'll have to like gift it to gift it or donate it to a library or something.
You could just go to the store and put that one and take that
one. Or instead of stealing, go and get a really cute like alternate dust jacket for it from Etsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have, but
I know. Go get the other copy as well.
It's got a match. Yeah.
Go get the other copy as well, but get yourself like a nice dust jacket for that one.
Well, yeah. I mean, like,
Why not?
well, I don't think I'm going to keep the two copies. I don't know. Oh, you know what I maybe could do though? Especially because this would be funny because it's been such a saga to read this book. I could probably find a way to flatten this out, and like it'll never be the same again, but I could bedazzle it. It could be what I bedazzle.
You could, yeah. If you put it under lots of other books, it'd probably work.
Yeah, I think maybe also if I very lightly apply some steam through a couple towels, also.
Or iron it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I bet our friend Em has some ideas because she book binds.
I bet she does.
Yeah. Anyway, I gotta do something because this isn't. I can't put this on the shelf. This is bullshit. Anyway, back to what I'm reading this week. I will take Iron Flame for its customary walk.
Yep, and got to take it out.
Maybe read a few pages. Who knows?
Get some fresh air.
I will be
sunshine.
finishing Stalked by the Kraken today. I'm going to do everything I can not to just fall into a hole of monster smut because it's very tempting, but I need to make progress on the physical TBR. So I do need to get going on Price of Innocence and Price of
Shit.
Protection. Yeah.
Yep.
And I also need to get going on Air of Fire. So I've got some work to do this week as far as reading goes.
You've got this. You'll slay. It's all good.
Sure. The blind faith in me, regardless of how many times I've proved you wrong, is really adorable. I love you guys.
I'll always have faith in you.
We will support your delusions.
Exactly. What about you, Emmy? What are you
Yeah.
reading?
So I've just finished. I have just finished Heavenly Bodies. So that was pretty chunky. So now I'm reading False Confidence by Sophie Snow. I'm like 10% through. I obviously need to read Air of Fire. I'm actually just having a quick look at our list of because we have a recording schedule because we are fun girls who
Yeah, we're so put together.
need a list. So I'm looking and I'm thinking like we are. I need to read SJ's book. I also need to read Air of Fire and The Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love. Because that's coming up soon. We're recording that April 6th, guys.
It's gonna have to be pushed. It's like 500,000 words or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's massive. You're gonna have to push it. It doesn't come out until July.
Yeah. You're not gonna be able to.
We can swap.
Yeah.
But
I don't
yeah,
think
I
you
need
can
to
do
read
Air of Fire at the same time as Mortifying Ordeal because it's just too. It's also lore heavy a little bit. Like it's not. I mean, you'll love it. Like it's some of the most intricate addition to world building in the Harry Potter verse I think I've ever seen. To be honest,
Yeah,
it's really well done.
Yeah, I need to read SJ's book. I think my plan for this week specifically is going to be to finish False Confidence, read Air of Fire, and then read another book off my TBR because I'm reading like a book every 2 days at the minute. I mean, like Heavenly Bodies was like 700 pages and I read it in like 2 days.
Slay.
I'm like slamming them out right
Love
now.
That.
Whatever that says about my mental health, I don't know.
We don't think about it.
Left on my TBR, I've got Book of Night, The Blanket Cats, An Ember in the Ashes, and The Baby Dragon Cafe. So
Ember in the Ashes. Read it.
I know I am planning on reading it, but the issue I have, right, is that if I read, it's one of the reasons I haven't picked up Play Along by Liz Tom Ford, and it's why I haven't picked up like a couple of series that I really want to read, like Binding 13. You know, there's a couple of fantasy series like From Blood and Ash. I really want to go down that, like Zodiac Academy. My issue is I've got so many things on my TBR.
You have to sign yourself up.
I can't really afford to keep buying more books right now until I get through some. So I'm really like, do I want to start a new series because then I'm gonna want to binge it?
Yeah. I get you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting here looking at this. Like, why do I have so many that are like the first two of a series? Or like,
I'm looking at my bed right now and I have 3 Amazon parcels. So I'm saving up my parcels at the minute because I'm going to do a book unboxing video for YouTube once I reach like 50. And due to the fact I'm going to be getting like 3 fairylit books a month, like it's not going to take that long. Plus I've got like, I placed an order of like £250 worth of pre-orders like 3 days ago. Obviously it takes the money like as the books come out, and that's like to the end of the year, and I haven't chosen a lot of books that I know could be fairylit editions as well, so a lot of the books on there are like in the middle of series that I'm reading and things that are coming out, like, you know, the Legends of Lattes book or the next one by Carissa Broadbent. Carissa Broadbent is also releasing Daughter of No Worlds traditionally, so of course I've pre-ordered all of those.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of work to do,
Slaying the
kid.
Vampire Conqueror comes out like next week.
Yeah.
I think
so that's gonna ruin my life.
I think for me, I'm gonna do a contemporary romance binge because I have, you know, like just a stack of them up there that I haven't touched, and most of them are standalones, and the ones even that are in series, I think it's, you know, they're mostly focus on one couple at a time or whatever. And so I think like
that's what I like about Elle Kennedy series, because I'm still reading Off Campus. I feel like you can read them so spread out. And I mean, I've read 3 books of the Off Campus series. I'm loving it, like full invested, but I haven't picked up the 4th one. I also bought the entire Briarview series and all of her new books, like The Charlie Method and like The Graham Effect. So I have all of them.
yeah.
So I really feel like I need to do a binge.
I also just feel like spring is a really good time for contemporary for some reason.
It's such a good time, yeah.
June and July.
Yeah.
Are my yeah.
Totally.
Like my plan is to get through all of M. Henry this summer.
Good. Yes, you should. Yes, you will.
I promise.
What are you starting with?
Book Lovers, I think.
Yes. That's the one I started with too. If I was you, I would start with Book Lovers. Then I would read Funny Story because it's so good, and Funny Story is my favorite Emily Henry book. Like, it's fantastic, and I cannot wait till the new one comes out.
It says an arc on NetGalley.
I know, but I don't really use NetGalley, so they're not going to give it to me.
They might. I got like the first one I ever applied for in NetGalley.
It's worth a shot, babe.
I know, but at the same time, I'm like, I have so much to read on this shelf to the point where like I can't be doing arcs right now because I've got too much.
No, I get you. I'm just saying, you never know. Yeah.
I got Tusk Love last night.
Did you? That's on my list. I would like to read that.
I've got the signed edition coming, but I was approved for Tusk Love, and I'm so excited.
I love this for you.
And obviously, I've got The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy as well.
I feel like for all the guys on here, like, if you do not follow Molly's Instagram, you need to follow Molly's Instagram because she is like slaying on there at every opportunity. Like, your Instagram vibes are unmatched.
So immaculate. Yeah.
And you read lots of like arcs and chat about things that you want and things that you read, and I feel like your Instagram's fantastic. Everyone needs to go follow your Instagram, not just the podcast one, Molly specifically. Not me, because I barely use it. I just like chat shit on Instagram.
Slay.
Yeah. I just talk shit on Threads and then like disappear. So I'm not like really to follow, I don't think.
I'm not allowed to use Threads. I can be a bit sarcastic on Threads.
Yeah, if anything sus has ever said on the group Threads account is probably at me.
Yeah.
I like to be a bitch.
It's great.
I'm just a ruckus. Yeah. Anyway. I'm sure we all have things to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have shit to do.
You've got the hockey to do.
Yeah, I need to go and prep the vegetables for dinner. I'm going to eat a tuna baguette. I'm going to go to the ice hockey. Anyway, randomly off topic. But thank you so much for hanging out with me, as usual.
Always.
And for anyone listening, if you're looking for any of us, all of our bits and bobs are links down below. And I never plug myself on here, but I made a really good YouTube video this week, guys.
She did.
She did. It's a play. Go
check out Emmy's YouTube.
I made a vlog this week, and it was fun. And I go to a museum and read Ali Hazelwood and Sarah J. Maas and fun things. So please go show me some love. That would be great.
Yay.
Right. Well, have a lovely week, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's kill it.
I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.